It's Missy, and today I'm going to be sharing with you guys one of the last looks that I have here for this Halloween season 2018. I borrowed this look from Corlina Maria. She made a zombie look last year in 2017. I will leave her channel link down below. She is absolutely amazing at SFX makeup. This is just a recreation of what she did. Of course, she is so much more better than me, and this is the very first time I've ever done this look. In hers, she's a zombie. In mine, I'm also a zombie, but I am a zombie maid. And yeah, she's super talented, so check out her video. Maybe that'll give you some inspiration for Halloween looks. I know that Halloween is in a few days, but if I don't get this posted, I'll definitely have this posted tomorrow. But yeah, you might still be able to recreate this look. It is literally oatmeal and liquid latex and, you know, some fake blood. So yes, let's get on with the video. In this video, I want to share with you my hook and read number 4 for this series. Hook and Read is a series that I made up sometime at the beginning of this year or last year, where I take, as you can see, a whole bunch of books. In the last couple of ones that I did, it was books that I was interested in reading, but I didn't know which ones I wanted to read first. So I read the first or full first page of the book to see if it hooks me in and makes me want to read it. My last video in this series was my unhaul video, so I could figure out whether or not I wanted to keep books or not. This time around, I asked you guys on Instagram what you guys wanted to see. I took pictures of my horror shelves, and these are the books you picked. So I have 6 books from those pickings that I am also interested in reading. So let's get started. Yeah, I am so in love with this look. And it didn't take too long, but now I gotta recreate it tomorrow. So too bad I can't sleep in it, right? All right. Yeah. Okay, well, I'm ruining my books. So if you don't mind, I will be taking off the bloody gloves for now because I am getting blood on the book covers. And thank goodness that was a hardcover, soft cover, so I could take off. Yeah, let's wipe my hands on my outfit. I bought this outfit from Party City, and I cut it all up, and you really can't tell, but I did. I made holes in it. You see that? There's a hole right here. Ooh, you can't see that. Anyways, there's a hole. I put blood all over it, and yeah, so it'll look like I'm a zombie. And then tomorrow I'll put blood all over my stockings, and then walk in a limp. Okay, let's try not to break any of my books. First, we have Help for the Haunted by John Searless. I don't know anything about this book except that I saw it on BookTube, or excuse me, Book Outlet, and I wanted it. So yeah, and if I don't like it and there's blood in the book, it'll be a souvenir for you guys because I don't need to put blood in it. First chapter is What Makes You Afraid. Whenever the phone rang late at night, I lay in my narrow bed and listened. My mother picked up on the first ring so as not to wake my sister, if she was home, or me. In hushed tones, she soothed the caller before handing the phone to my father. His voice was stiffer, more formal, as he made plans to meet somewhere or offered directions to our faded and drooping tutor on a dead-end lane in the tiny town of Dundalk, Maryland. There were times when the person on the other end of the line had called from a payphone as nearby as Baltimore. A priest, I guessed, had scratched our number on a scrap of paper and handed it over. Or maybe it had been found by simply searching the tissuey pages of the phone book, since we were listed, same as any ordinary family, even if ordinary was the last thing we were. Not long after my father put down the receiver, I heard them dressing. My parents were like characters on an old TV show whose outfits stayed the same every episode. My mother, tall, thin, abnormally pale, wore some version of a curveless gray dress with pearly buttons down the front whenever she was dealing with the public. Her dark hair, threaded with white, was always pinned up. Tiny crucifixes glimmered in her ears, around her neck too. My father wore suits in somber shades of brown, a cross nestled in his chest hairs beneath his yellow button-down, black hair combed away from his face so that the first thing you noticed was his smudged, wire-rimmed glasses. Once dressed, they brushed past my door and down the stairs to wait in the kitchen with its peeling blue wallpaper, sipping tea at the table until headlights from a car turning into our dirt driveway splashed against my bedroom ceiling. Next I heard murmurs, impossible to decipher from my room above, though I had my ideas about what was being said. Finally, I listened to the clomp, clomp, clomp of footsteps as my parents led their visitor or visitors into the basement, and everyone grew quiet below. All right, I don't know what this is about, but heck yeah, we have some creepy parents. I'm assuming that maybe they do exorcisms or maybe seances. Maybe not seances because of the crucifixes. I don't know, but why do they bring their visitors down to the basement? Okay, this is super cool. I am definitely interested. Good choice. The book I have here is The Prince of Mist by Carlos Ruiz Zafón. He also wrote The Shadow of the Wind, which is a classic. I haven't read it yet, although I do own it. The Shadow of the Wind is an adult book. I think it's a book about books, and then this is a YA. So let's get started. The cool thing is that because it's YA, it has pretty good font and nice giant sides. What are they called? Margins. There we go, margins. Alright, there's no chapter name, just the number. Here we go. Max would never forget that faraway summer when, almost by chance, he discovered magic. It was 1943, and the winds of war were dragging the world relentlessly toward the abyss. In the middle of June, on Max's 13th birthday, his father, an eccentric watchmaker and inventor of dazzling, if completely impractical, devices, gathered the family in the living room to announce that this would be their last day in the lofty apartment perched high above the oldest part of the city, a place that had been their home ever since Max could remember. A deathly silence fell upon the members of the Carver family. They looked at each other, and then at the watchmaker. He had that smile on his face they all knew so well, the one that always meant he had bad news or another of his crazy ideas. "We are moving," he announced, "to a beach house in a small town on the coast. We're getting out of this city and away from the war." Max gulped, then timidly raised his hand in protest. The other members of the family joined in, but the watchmaker waved away their concerns. He was on a roll now, and he laid out his plan with military precision. There would be no going back on the decision. They were leaving the next morning at dawn. Now they had to pack up their most prized possessions and prepare for the long journey to their new home. In truth, the family was not entirely surprised by the news. They all suspected that the idea of leaving the city in search of a better place to live had been on Maximilian Carver's mind for some time. Everyone, that is, except his son Max. To him, the news felt like a mad steam train hurtling through a china shop. His mind went blank, his mouth sagged, and his eyes glazed over. As he stood transfixed, it occurred to him that his entire world, his friends at school, everyone he hung out with, even the corner shop where he bought his comics, was about to vanish forever. Well, not creepy. I don't know what this is. I think it might be... Oh, it says a mysterious house harbors an unimaginable secret. So eventually we'll get to something creepy. This is a really short read, and again, it's YA, so it seems like it's going to go really quickly. Yeah, I think I'll put this on this side to read. Maybe I can get to these books next month. We will see. Let me know down below, of course, if you have read any of these. All right, the next book on the list is The Murmurings. This is by Carly Ann West. I haven't read anything by her before. I do own another book by her called The Bargaining. And that one also sounds really good. So hopefully this one hooks me in. Let's find out. We have here, let's go to the first page. No name to the chapter, just number 1. And okay. I'm supposed to wonder why Gregor Samsa is a cockroach. Not how. Why? That's the way Mrs. Dodd says we need to think if we're going to analyze the metamorphosis. Otherwise, the how gets distracting. Apparently, Franz Kafka didn't want us questioning how it's possible that some guy could wake up one morning as a cockroach. We're supposed to focus on why he would be a giant, hideous insect, to ask why it had to happen to him and nobody else, to wonder why his family doesn't care. It feels pretty familiar, actually. All those why questions, that whole family not caring thing, except that my mom probably wouldn't notice if I grew antennae and a couple of extra legs, let alone take notice enough to throw apples at me across the dining room table. As much as I want to listen to what Mrs. Dodd is saying about Gregor Samsa and cockroaches, all I can think about is how I wanted my junior year to feel different. Maybe more like it was happening to me and not someone else. Maybe just quieter. Nell was always the outgoing one. I liked being the sister of someone who was popular. It came with fringe benefits. No one teased me if I sat in a corner at lunch with a book, rather than at a table with my friends. After Nell went into the hospital, though, everything changed. All of her so-called friends treated her like a leper, and now I'm someone to be feared by association. And what's the significance of great, the sister? Anyone? In a way, it's better. Even if someone tapped me on the shoulder, some bland-looking new girl who didn't know anything about Nell, someone who didn't know that my mom drinks like it's her job, that I can't talk to my dad about it because I don't even know who he is, and probably never will, and told me she wanted to be my best friend, what would I tell her? That I'm the girl whose sister heard whispers that weren't quite words, and saw things so dark they took away her light? That she was really good at hiding it from everyone but me? That Nell cut herself and ran away from her institution with some orderly named Adam Newfield, and that no one saw her again until her body was found in Jerome, Arizona? That the police haven't found the orderly, who was probably the last one to see her alive? Not that they've been trying very hard. That when I went to Jerome a week later to see where they found Nell's body, I felt like I was being watched the whole time. And when I returned to my car, Nell's journal was lying on the front seat. I'm going to stop there. Again, nothing that grabs you right away, but we did get a little bit about the sister having some kind of mental problem, being sent to an institution for maybe schizophrenia. At least we know that she was hearing voices and seeing things, and that she ran away and is now dead. So I wonder what happens to the sister. Does she go to try and find the orderly? I don't know. This sounds okay. It's not grabbing me just yet. This picture is what really hooked me. This looks like a really creepy girl. You see that? So hopefully the inside will also hook me. Alright, I'm going to put that on the maybe pile, and then I have on this side the yes pile. So you have yes and maybe. The next book I have here is Abandoned by Blake Crouch. Some people have told me here on YouTube that this isn't so good. I was supposed to read this during the Booktubeathon when I went to Yellowstone, but check out the length of this book. Yeah, wasn't going to happen. I mean, I had high hopes because it was a green cover, but I wasn't able to. So let's start, shall we? I am getting blood everywhere. Darn it. Just, see that? You can, oh, maybe not. There's already blood on the book. Oops. Alright, first page. It says Thursday, December 28th, 1893. So we have a little bit of historical fiction. I wonder if this is like, you know, the past and then we get to the present. We'll see. Alright. Rips through the crags 1,000 feet above, nothing moving in this god-forsaken town, and the mule skinner knows that something is wrong. 2 miles south stands Bartholomew Packer's mine, the godsend, a 20-stamp mill that should be filling this box canyon with the thudding racket of the rock crashers pulverizing ore. The sound of the stamps in operation is the sound of money being made, and the only 2 things will stop them: Christmas and tragedy. Mounts his albino steed, the horse's pinked nostrils flaring, dirty mane matted with ice. The single-rig saddle is snow-crusted as well, its leather and cloth components, the mochila and shabrack frozen stiff. He rubs George's neck, speaking in soft, low tones he knows will calm the animal, telling him he did a good day's work, that a warm stable awaits with feed and fresh water. The mule skinner opens his wallet, collects the pint of bust head he bought at a bodega in Silverton, and swallows the remaining mouthful, whiskey crashing into his empty stomach like iced fire. He wades through waist-deep snow to the mercantile, bangs his shopmaids on the doorframe. Inside, the lamps have been extinguished, and the big stove squats dormant in the corner, unattended by the usual constellation of miners jawboning over coffee and tobacco. He calls for the owner as he crosses the board floor, moving between shelves, past stacked crates and burlap sacks bulging with sugar and flour. "Jessup, it's Brady. You and back?" The 12 burros crane their scrawny necks in his direction. When Brady emerges from the murk, he reaches into his great coat, pulls out a tin of Star Navy tobacco, and shoves a chaw between his lips and gums gone blackish purple in the last year. "What the hell?" he whispers. When he delivered supplies 2 weeks ago, this little mining town was bustling. Now abandoned looms listless before him in the gloom of late afternoon. Streets empty, snow banked high against the unshoveled plank sidewalks. No tracks as far as he can see. The cabins scattered across the lower slopes lie buried to their chimneys, and with not a one of them smoking. The air smells too clean. Brady is a man at home in solitude, often spending days on the trail, alone in wild, quiet places. But this silence is all wrong, a lie. He feels menaced by it, and with each passing moment more certain than something has happened here. A wall of dark clouds scrapes over the peaks, and snowflakes begin to speck the sleeves of his slicker. Here comes the wind. Chimes clang together over the doorway of the murk. It will be night soon. He makes his way up the street into the saloon, still half expecting Josh Maddox, the beautiful barkeep, to assault him with some gloriously profane greeting. No one's there. Not the mute piano player, not a single customer, and again, No light from the kerosene lamps, no warmth from the pot-bellied stove, just a half-filled glass on the pine bar, the bar frozen through. So, because of the length of this book, I'm assuming it's gonna get much worse or boring. I don't know. We have an abandoned ghost town of some sort back in the late 1800s. Yeah. So, because of the length of this book, definitely not this year. I'm going to put this on the maybe pile. When I say maybe, of course I'm going to keep these books and read them at some point, but they're just not going to be immediately, if that makes sense. All right. Next we have The Shapeshifters by Stefan Spudged? Is it Just? Is the P? Do I even pronounce the P? Tell me down below how to pronounce that last name, please, if you are, I don't know if this is Swedish or Norwegian. I can't remember. But this was on my wish list forever at Book Outlet because it sounded so good. So yeah, it is Swedish. It says it's translated from the Swedish by Susan Beard. Ooh, it has a map of Sweden. I want to go to Sweden. Oh wow, it just starts right away. There is no chapter numbers, which is a complete bummer. I hate books that don't have chapters. It just has a little you see that little, well, you can't see it. There's a little tiny sign right here. It looks like a star to let you know that, you know, a new speaker is talking or it's a new day, if that's the transition. All right, let's get started. The worm glued to the tarmac is as long as a snake, no longer. It reaches all the way to the grass verge beside the main road. The boy's eyes follow the slimy ribbon and notice that it stretches across the ditch and curls into the belly of a gray animal. A badger, dead, but still looking. Its eyes are black glass, and one paw has stiffened in a wave. The car door opens and his mother calls, but he cannot tear himself away from the animal. Then she gets out. She stands by the boy, wrinkles her nose so her glasses ride up. "It's been run over," she says. "But why does it look like that?" "Those are intestines. A bird pulled them out, or some other animal." He wants to know which bird, which animal. "Come on now," she says. "But I haven't peed yet." "Well, do it then." He presses his cheek against the window, but the pine trees are so tall he can hardly see where they end. His knees are gripping a large Fanta bottle, and from time to time he blows into the neck. The glass is warm, and the last few mouthfuls have also been warm. They have been driving for almost 3 hours, and he has never traveled for such a long time in a car before. When they stop, he does not understand that they have arrived, because they are right in the middle of the forest. There is no sign of a cabin, only trees. "Are we there?" he asks. His mother sits motionless for a while, lost in her thoughts, before pulling the key from the ignition and climbing out. She opens his door. It is as if the mosquitoes have been waiting for him. They come from all directions and land on him in such a teeming mass that his legs look molted. He makes no attempt to brush them away, but instead stiffens and lets out a plaintive yell. His mother heaves the bag onto the bonnet and finds a bath towel, which she wraps around him like a cape. After she has tied it around his neck, she starts running, with the bag in one hand and the plastic carrier from the supermarket in the other. She leaves a kind of furrow behind her in the long grass. She is wearing a short-sleeved top in green velour, and an oblong-shaped sweat mark is spreading out between her shoulder blades. Her flared jeans flap around her ankles. He follows after her, and the little figures in his backpack rattle inside their plastic box. He holds the shoulder strap with one hand and uses the other to grip the towel to stop it from flying away. Running is difficult, and soon his mother's back disappears in the dense greenery in front of him. He calls out to her to wait, but she carries on, calling over her shoulder for him to hurry up. The ferns have formed tight, thick clumps, and beyond them, the fir trees tower above the pitch-black ground. All around him, the spiky stalks of the grass hum and tick with insects, and his cloak flies behind him as he runs. Ooh. Okay, this sounds super interesting, mostly because it starts off in the woods. That's one of my my buzzwords. I like anything that is set in a forest. It just seems so creepy. On the back here it says, summer 1978, a young boy disappears without a trace from a mountain cabin. His mother claims he was carried away by a giant. He is never found. That also sounds amazing. I have watched a pretty, like, it was humorous to me, although I don't know if it'll be humorous to you guys. Because maybe it's supposed to be scary, but it seemed pretty funny to me. It's about giants. I will leave the video link down below if I can find it, but just reading the back of this reminds me of this movie. It's like, kind of like a mock documentary about a man looking in these mountains. And it might be in Sweden, I'm not sure. I watched it a really long time ago. But anyways, the man is looking for proof that there's giants, and he finds some. So, wow, yay. I definitely want to read this one. That sounds super interesting. The very last book I want to read to you guys, or, you know, try to hook you in, is The Strand by Guillermo del Toro. This is also a TV show. I don't have cable, so I have no idea what channel this came on, but I will leave a link down below to any information that I can find on this. This is a vampire book, and it's supposed to be a good vampire. This is an adult book, so there's not going to be any glittering vampires. It's supposed to be like hardcore vampire. So yeah, that makes me super excited. Let's read the first page, shall we? The Strand, Book 1 of the Strand trilogy. Now, I do have the entire trilogy, so if this is just amazeballs, I'm just gonna, you know, pick up more. Alright, so the first chapter is called The Legend of Joseph Sardou. Joseph Sardou. Okay. Once upon a time, said Abraham's grandmother, there was a giant. Young Abraham's eyes brightened, and immediately the cabbage borscht in the wooden bowl got tastier, or at least less garlicky. He was a pale boy, underweight and sickly. His grandmother, intent on fattening him, sat across from him while he ate his soup, entertaining him by spinning a yarn. Baba Misa. I apologize if I'm ruining these words. A grandmother's story, a fairy tale, a legend. He was the son of a Polish nobleman, and his name was Joseph Sardou. Master stood taller than any other man, taller than any roof in the village. He had to bow deeply to enter any door, but his great height, it was a burden, a disease of birth, not a blessing. The young man suffered. His muscles lacked the strength to support his long, heavy bones. At times it was a struggle for him just to walk. He used a cane, a tall stick, taller than you, with a silver handle carved into the shape of a wolf's head, which was the family crest. Yes, Baba, said Abraham between spoonfuls. This was his lot in life, and it taught him humility, which is a rare thing indeed for a nobleman to possess. He had so much compassion for the poor, for the hard-working, for the sick. He was especially dear to the children of the village, and his great deep pockets, the size of turnip sacks, bulged with trinkets and sweets. He had not much of a childhood himself, matching his father's height at the age of 8 and surpassing him by a head at age 9. His frailty and his great size were a secret source of shame to his father, but Master Sardu truly was a gentle giant and much beloved by his people. It was said of him that Master Sardu looked down on everyone, yet looked down on no one. She nodded at him, reminding him to take another spoonful. He chewed a boiled red beet, known as a baby heart, because of its color, its shape, its capillary-like strings. Yes, Baba. He was also a lover of nature, and had no interest in the brutality of the hunt, but as a nobleman and a man of rank, at the age of 15, his father and his uncles prevailed upon him to accompany them on a 6-week expedition to Romania. To here, Baba? Said Abraham. The giant, he came here? To the north country, Kadishil, the dark forests. The Sardu men, they did not come to hunt wild pig or bear or elk. They came to hunt wolf, the family symbol, the arms of the house of Sardu. They were hunting a hunting animal. Sardu family lore said that eating wolf meat gave Sardu men courage and strength, and the young master's father believed that this might cure his son's weak muscles. Okay, so nothing so far, although I am interested in reading a vampire book. If you didn't know, Guillermo del Toro was the creator of Pan's Labyrinth, which I found amazing and also super sad. There's a few movies that I would never watch again. Pan's Labyrinth is one, just because emotionally I can't handle it. Neither could I handle rewatching Schindler's List or The Passion. Once is enough for me. I got the gist of the movie. It's not something I would want to rewatch because, again, emotionally I can't take it. So, yeah. Are you guys interested in reading that? I would read more, but I don't know how long the wolf giant story will be, and I don't want to take too much more of your guys' time. I do read in accents, even though I'm not good at accents. I'm just trying to change my voice so it's not so drony and the same. And I do this for all the books that I read to my children, and when I'm reading to myself. If I'm reading in my head, I tend to create an accent to go along with the characters so I can like think of, like, you know, kind of separate them from each other. Anyways, hopefully you guys liked this video in the series. Again, these are books that you guys have picked, and yeah, that is it. I can't believe it that Halloween is in 2 days. It's Monday right now, so hopefully this goes up on Tuesday, but I'm very excited for Halloween. Let me know down below what you guys are going to be for Halloween, and that is it. I hope you guys are having a wonderful week. I hope you have a wonderful and safe Halloween if you do celebrate, and I will talk to you guys soon. Thanks so much for watching. Bye! The mule skinner opens his wallet, collects the pint of butthead. No.